Yo, what's up? What's up? You're hanging with a very happy Niners nut this afternoon, this rainy, shitty afternoon in New York. It's like something out of that movie, Something Wicked This Way Comes. I got a special guest with me this morning um, because of last night's wonderful victory. You'll know him really well. He's a real handsome guy, real classy guy, been around a bit. I give you Sourdough Sam, baby. Sourdough is fucking thrilled right now with last night's victory, that pummeling of the Rams. I mean, Sourdough, would you agree that that was an absolute ass romping? Of course it was. Sourdough's joining us today. So diving right into it, man, let's talk about last night's blowout of the overrated cotton candy Rams, as I call them, because that's what they are. They're overrated in cotton candy. And again, I've been saying it ever since last year. If you guys have been following me that long, you'll know that I haven't changed my tune on the Rams at all, despite their Super Bowl victory last year. I felt they were overrated all season long last year, although I think they had a better team last season than they do this season, obviously because of the changes that they made, or the losses, I should say, that they had to the coaching staff as well as the team, the players they lost via free agency or whatnot. I mean, let's face it, Odell Beckham, out with injuries. He hasn't re-signed. Then they lost Robert Woods, which I think was a tremendous loss for their team, because Robert Woods, when you think about it, was really kind of their like very stable wide receiver before Cooper Kupp. Very good all around wide receiver. Obviously, the loss of Von Miller hurt them. Von Miller's playing like he's been reborn in Buffalo. He didn't look like that with the short time with the Rams, but I don't know. Maybe it was just not him being accustomed to the defensive packages and whatnot, or them just not using him correctly. And then their offensive line, Andrew Whitworth retired. The rest of their offensive line got totally decimated by free agency and whatnot. So Allen Robinson hasn't really worked out. I mean, I didn't understand that move when they signed him. I know they needed another receiver, but I just never thought he was really the answer. Von Jefferson's been injured, so they've got a lot of trouble. And let's face it, Matthew Stafford has always been a good quarterback. That's it. He's never gotten any better than that. He's never been great. You cannot put him with Aaron Rodgers. You cannot put him obviously with Tom Brady. I've always been someone who's been really critical of Matt Ryan. I'll say this: Matt Ryan's a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford in terms of just, I think, overall quarterback stability. I'd rather go with a Matt Ryan over a Matthew Stafford. Trying to think if there's any other quarterbacks playing right now that are better. Kyler Murray is better than Matthew Stafford. I mean, I'd rather have Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I mean, there's a number of guys I'd rather have than him. And again, I'm not saying he's terrible, but he's a good quarterback. He's good for their system when and if their system works. He's good for the system they had last year. But I think, again, like every other season, sometimes opposing teams catch up to systems and kind of operate, in a certain way, and you really can't, you can't put the full blame on that player. But at the same time, again, I think he's a gunslinger first, and maybe like a quarterback, a more cerebral guy second. Under pressure, he buckles. We've seen that happen. We saw it happen last night. We've seen him buckle in the past. So I'm not really surprised. I think that you put him in the right situation, and good things happen. Now, you can't say the same for all quarterbacks, because obviously you can put some guys in the most dime piece of a situation, but it never really works out. But that being said, last year he was in the right situation. He had the right coach, he had the right offensive line, he had the right offense, he had the right weapons. This year, I mean, it just looks totally different, and I just think that the league caught up to the Rams. And obviously, they are not what they're supposed to be. That's not what you expect out of a Super Bowl team. Although it is very early in the season, they are 2-2. They're not like they're 0-4. But just watching them, if you had the ability to watch them, you'll see they're a much different team. They cannot run the ball worth shit. They're one half of the field oriented, which I mean is, if you really think about it, without Von Jefferson, without Odell Beckham Jr., everything is Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. I mean, what did Coach Ryan say coming into last night's game? It's the Cooper Kupp show. He's 100% right, and every other team knows that too. So I can guarantee you this, that a smart defensive coordinator and a smart team or a smart defense is definitely going to take pages out of DeMeco Ryans' game plan last night, which basically showed you that they can limit Cooper Kupp to an extent. His yards after the catch were nothing, as was Tyler Highby's. They're going to get their catches, but that's it. They took Allen Robinson out of the game. Ben Skowronek really wasn't really an option. It was an afterthought. So, I mean, the field was really basically cut in half, and it's even really sad, more sad for the Rams because they held the ball longer than we did. So, I don't know what to tell you, man. It was an absolute and utter disaster for them. And, hey, all better for us. That's all I have to say. Much better for us. But let's talk about, what happened there last night. Obviously, that opening drive the Rams had, they went down the field. I think Stafford was, 7-7. Obviously, we held them to 3. We held them to no touchdowns last night, which I thought was phenomenal. Again, I think that opening drive really dictated the flow of the game because had the Rams would have scored, perhaps it could have been a little bit different. They go right down the field and take the wind out of your sails, and it looked for a little while that they were going to go right down the field. But defense, as always, comes up big in our area and down by the goal line. I mean, I don't think anyone can front when it comes to that. That's when we really have something special is when we're able to deny at the goal line. And if you look at the Super Bowl 49ers, if you look at the team from 2 years ago and you look at the team 3 years ago, rather, and you look at the team last year, you'll notice that the defense has always really come up big, when they need them in tight situations, on third down, on fourth down, by the goal line. And that's what we did again last night. I mean, I don't think anyone would have expected us to hold them the way we held them to 3 field goals. So, my hat off to all of them. It's just a phenomenal game plan, phenomenal game all around. And again, it was they are a beatable team. And this was a very important game for us. Winning this game obviously now puts everybody at 2-2 in the NFC West. And once again, we see the same old formula that we've seen in the past, is that the NFC West is just such a competitive division. But the good thing for us is we already have 2 Division 1 wins, one over Seattle, one over the Rams. And it puts us in a better place. Okay, and we should be 4-0. Let's face it. I don't think anyone's disputing the fact that we should be 4-0. I of course it's a shoulda, woulda, coulda type thing, but at the same time, I don't think it's impossible to think about that we should be 4-0. It's really obvious that we should be. We should have beat Denver and we should have beat the Bears. I don't think I'm saying anything out of school here, but whatever the case may be, look, we beat 2 divisional teams. I think 2 pretty good divisional teams, although, like I said, Rams are highly overrated, but I'll take it, man. It's always big to get those divisional wins, especially in a division that is most likely going to finish very competitive, very close, very tight. That could be the way the season goes. That could just be the way things happen, and, we'll take the victory from last night. Going into last night's game, obviously, we all knew what we needed to happen was you needed Jimmy G to have himself a good game. You needed the running game to be established. We were a little concerned about the offensive line. We were also concerned earlier in the week when we saw the videos and the snippets of Jimmy G basically saying your play calling sucks. And then, of course, the aftermath of that, him being questioned at the podium about that and kind of somewhat not so seriously admitting to the fact that, yeah, him and Shanny bump heads, which is obvious, and maybe they didn't agree on things, but that was a concern coming into last night's game. Also was a concern there was no Javon Kinlaw. We lost Arik Armstead in last night's game again, plantar fasciitis and whatnot. So, I mean, I think that, again, that these are the concerns we had coming into last night's game. One of my concerns, of course, as you all know, I'm annoying with it, is what, it was Kyle Juszczyk going to get the ball. We didn't see that much last night. He did get the ball thrown to him. But, of course, they didn't throw the ball to him, which I still don't understand. So I guess you can't have everything, but we haven't had anything at all. That being said, let's just break down this game as I already did kind of in the comments and whatnot. I'm sorry, in my posts and everything, looking at the game stats. Let's just go into kind of the stats individually. Stafford was 34 of 48 for 254. 5.3 yards per pass, 1 touchdown, sacked 7 times. That says everything right there. Okay? That says everything right there. 5.3 yards per pass. He couldn't do shit last night. Stafford looked piss scared to me. Okay? You know damn well that he saw today. He was busted up on his arm. We rattled his ass last night. Okay? Don't tell me don't tell me that again. I understand his offensive line may not be the best, but great quarterbacks play great no matter what. He is not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. And like I said earlier in the podcast, there are a lot of other good quarterbacks in the league that are better than him. And a lot of them may not even be on that, whatever, those so-called experts consider to be ratings. I don't give a shit about that. I go by what I see. I go by what I know. And I go by the longevity of the player that I've been watching for various years. And I said this going back to when the Rams acquired Matthew Stafford. Yeah, he's good. He's perfect for that system. But that depends on the system. And now we're seeing defenses catch up to the system, or we're seeing them not have the ability to surround Matthew Stafford with the players that he had last year because of free agency, that they have a depleted roster. So obviously you can't tell me that he didn't catch. That was an old-fashioned ass whipping last night. He knows it. He's been getting his ass whipped all season long. That's not all his fault. That offensive line is just depleted. And they can't run the ball. They cannot run the ball. They couldn't run the ball last year without Cam Akers. They couldn't run the ball with Henderson. They cannot run the ball. Okay? I don't know. They are one-play oriented. They're they're going to throw the ball. It's all they got. But I'll tell you one thing. If you're a defensive coordinator and you watch last night's game, take notes, scribble shit down, get that. Hope you got that game on film, because that's how you beat the Rams. You put pressure on Stafford, you rattle him. He doesn't do good under pressure. You shut down their run, which isn't hard to do given that the offensive line can't block them, and you cut their field in half. Everything is to Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee are pretty damn good. I'll give them that. Tyler Higbee's really come into his own as a tight end. Takes a hit, gives a hit. I give him credit, man. Cooper Kupp's one of the best receivers in football. We all know that. But the most important aspect about that is that the fact that the Niners took away all the other receivers. There was no Von Jefferson. They took Skowronek out. They also took away Allen Robinson, who hasn't been a factor whatsoever. I don't know what they expected when they signed him. Okay, because for the most part, you always get. I mean, Allen Robinson's had some seasons that have been good, and had some seasons that have been questionable. And you would have figured that in this offense, and given you that it's still early in the season, he would have dominated. But it's not happening. I just don't think he's the right fit. They really need to get ODB back. They should have never gotten rid of Robert Woods. I'll go toe to toe with anybody on that. They should have. Robert Woods was a very premier wide receiver for them. One of the guys I think that is just one of those blue-collar wide receivers. What I mean by that is that's not derogatory at all. I mean, he's one of those guys that may not have the superstar numbers or whatever you consider to be the superstar numbers, but is very legit, always plays hard, always comes up big, gets you solid numbers, knew that offense. I don't know why you got rid of him, man. I mean, he's not doing much in Tennessee right now, but then again, give you the fact that in Tennessee, they're a more running-based offense around Derrick Henry. But still, you don't dump a guy like that and hope, hey, man, we'll just sign somebody else. No, you keep a guy like that, because that was a dangerous, even if you didn't have the trio of Woods, ODB, and Kupp, you still had Woods and Kupp together, and then hopefully, if Von Jefferson doesn't get hurt, you bring him along, which I think he's still going to be very valuable if he can, get going this season. But the Rams look terrible. So again, Stafford was rattled early on. Okay, my biggest thing, my biggest, what really draws me to the stats is the 5.3 average that he had last night. Not Matthew Stafford, not like the Rams. The Niner defense took the game away from them. And I'll tell you this, shame on the Rams, because when you look at team stats like I have up in the post, you'll see the Rams held the ball for a lot longer and couldn't do anything with it. So I don't know what to tell you, man. That is not the same team. Now, looking at the running game, Henderson, 7 carries, 27 yards. Cam Akers, 8 for 13. Powell, 1 for 11. And Stafford, 2 for 6. They can't run the ball worth the shit. They haven't been able to run the ball for 2 years, okay? Again, it's a total heads up and total eye opener for all defenses around the league. And again, it's my hat off to the 49er defense. Receiving wise, look, we knew this was going to happen. Cooper Kupp, 14 catches, 122 yards, but the biggest aspect to focus on is the 8.7 yards per average, which basically tells you they didn't give him shit afterwards. Hat off to that 49er defensive backfield. It looks the best it has in years. It looks even better than when they made the Super Bowl, okay? Tyler Highby, 10 catches, 73 yards, nothing to shy away from, but 7.3 yards per catch. Not doing too much with the yards after. Scouring, 2 catches, 33 yards. He had the most per catch, 16.5 yards per catch. Go figure. That kid is going to be good. Keep your eye on that kid, Scouring. By the way, what's his name? Who I can't stand there. Who was calling the game last night? Troy Aikman and Joe Buck fucked up his name really good. What do you call him? Scourneck or Scar? Whatever the fuck he's. I can't stand Joe Buck, dude. He's a 49er hater. But that kid's going to be good. Other than that, Henderson had 3 catches. Blanton had 1. Robinson had 2 catches, 7 yards. We shut their shit down on all ends of the field. It was a total shutdown. A total ass blasting. Okay? Other than that, Stafford got hit. He fumbled once on defense. For them, nothing at all. We didn't give up a sack. My hat off to that 49er offensive line. Man, did they come up big last night. Holy shit. Bobby Wagner had 10 total tackles, 7. Aaron Donald, 5, 2 tackles for losses, no sacks. So to me, non-factor whatsoever. Now let's go to the 49ers side of the stats. Jimmy G. We said we needed a bounce back game from Jimmy G, right? 16 of 27, 239, 8.9 yards pass average, 1 touchdown, didn't get sacked. I'll take it. Okay, didn't really have a lot of questionable throws there. I like what I saw out of him. Again, I'll take the numbers. I like it. With what was going on last night, I like it. If he can up those numbers a little bit in terms of quarterback completion percentage, I like that a little better, and get another touchdown, I'm fine with that. But Jimmy G did help. Jeff Wilson Jr., what did I say in that post? Give Jeff Wilson Jr. the ball. 18 carries, 74 yards, 4.1 yards per carry. That 32-yard gallop we saw by him for the first score of the evening. Jeff Wilson Jr. on another team is a legit starter stud who gets 1,000 yards. I've been saying this, man, for the past 3-4 years. Legit. We are blessed to have him. It was such a good move to re-sign him because he's so valuable. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan. Don't forget about Jeff Wilson Jr. When and if Elijah Mitchell comes back, when and if Jordan Mason gets going, or we start using him more. This kid could be 1,000-yard rusher easy. He runs with tenacity. He's got good fluid movement when he needs it. He cuts to the hole. He hits the hole hard. We're seeing that he can catch the ball out of the backfield last week. He puts his head down and he lights shit up. I love Jeff Wilson Jr., one of my favorite players by far. Juszczyk, 1 carry, 9 yards. Still don't understand why we're not utilizing him more. Garoppolo and Samuel, 2 carries, 2 yards. Obviously, the defenses are keying on him for that. But let's go to the receiving aspect. Debo. Debo is as Debo does, and Debo does deliver. 6 catches, 115 yards, 19.2 average, 1 touchdown. That long 57-yard gallop by Debo. Debo is a freak show of an athlete, a freak show of a receiver. For his size, he barrels people over. Go back and look at the segment when he scored. They were missing tackles left and right. It looked to me that they didn't want no part of him. He's got this good interview he does on a couple of videos I saw where he says he looks at the DB across him and he knows in the rest they don't want no part of him. Bro, I believe that 100% because he is an absolute juggernaut, man. I don't think we've seen a player like him of his caliber come along in so long. So valuable. Brandon Ayuk, 4 catches, 37 yards. I'll tell you one thing about Brandon Ayuk. Go back and check the segment where Debo scored. Brandon Ayuk threw a monster of a block last night. Great job by him. I love that combination. I love Ayuk, dude. Juszczyk, 1 catch, 35 yards. He was only targeted once. So obviously, Kyle Shanahan and the offense didn't hear our cry for Juszczyk getting the ball more, which didn't really happen, but we won. George Kittle, 2 catches, 24 yards. He was obviously doing a lot more blocking. Jujuwan Jennings, 2 catches, 22 yards. Ray had a catch for 6. Ross Dwelly, nothing. And Charlie Warner, nothing. But I'll take what we had. Okay, no fumbles. We didn't turn the ball over. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball quick. I'm just going to reshoot this. Recharge the my live feed here. My phone is acting up, so just bear with me. Let's go to that defensive side real quick. Look, I gotta say, man, the defense last night did what the defense always does. They played amazing, man. I mean, that's the best game I've ever seen that defense play so far this year in a long time. They came out to play last night. Dre Greenlaw, 15 total tackles, 12 solos, 1 tackle for loss. I mean, listen, Dre Greenlaw is a freak show for us, man. He's a legit linebacker. I love the kid. I want to see him stay healthy and just do lights out type of shit as he's doing. Fred Warner, oh man, you know what Fred Warner reminds me of? And he looks like Predator with that hair. You know, if he had the blade and the fucking laser, man, forget it. Fred Warner is an absolute, he's just a nonstop engine, man. I love the way that guy plays. I love what he does away from the ball because you could just tell by his tenacity and love for the game that he brings so much to that defensive unit. He's the captain of that defensive unit. 9 total tackles, 6 solo. Theodore Lenoir, man, my hat off to him. He's gotten better every game this season. Last night, he looked possessed. 8 tackles, 5 solo, had that 1 sack, had 1 tackle for loss, had that quarterback hit. I loved what I saw from him in coverage. By the way, much respect and love to you guys who are with me on the live feed. Just shoot your comments at me, questions, whatever you want to do. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Mosley, underrated as a cornerback. We all know that he's underrated. Agreed with you, brother. Grissar, if I'm saying your name correctly. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. Best defense in the league. You're 110% right. I don't know these experts that have any other defense higher than them. I saw a thing a couple of weeks ago. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Rams. Are you kidding me? What game are you watching? On paper, okay, we look like the best defensive unit in football. And on the screen, the best defensive unit in football. And a lot of these experts obviously are not tuning in to watch us because if they would know that the packages that we send in and out, Omanyahu, Kerry Hyder Jr., Kevin Givens played good last night, Flanagan Fowles, who's filling in for Al-Aziz Hasir, I just butchered his name, they're playing lights out. Lights out. A lot of other teams don't have this. We have the ability to have guys that you want to consider second and third tier that can keep up with anyone. That's a testament to them and their talent. That's a testament to D'Amico Ryans. That's a testament to the whole friggin' team, man. Okay? Best defense in football. In fact, I'll say this. Our defense this year is better than it was last year, better than it was in the Super Bowl year 3 years ago when we had DeForest Buckner. The way it looks right now. We have shut teams down in the first 4 weeks. 2 of those games in which we should have won. We should be 4-0. I know it shoulda, woulda, coulda, but that's the way it should be. No one can play with this defense, okay? They were in Stafford's ass all night last night. You know, forget the 7 sacks. How many times were they just like in his grill? I mean, he couldn't breathe last night, man. It was ridiculous. I love it. Getting back to the defense, Mosley, tackle for loss, pass defended, underrated corner, has always been an underrated corner. Charvarius Ward, my hat off to him. Another game, 4 games in a row. You know, I was critical of the contract they gave him. He's showing that he's worth it, though. I'll say that. Samson Ebukam, my hat off to him. 2 sacks last night. He looked like a menacing beast. I'm sure somewhere in McVay's head, you're probably saying we should have never gotten rid of this guy or we should have utilized him different because he's a wrecking ball. A wrecking ball. Okay? Good for him last night paying back his team that dumped him. Listen, my boy, your boy, our boy, Talanoa Hufanega, Troy Polamalu 4.9, Troy Polamalu 49, Pro Bowl, All-Pro. This guy is, I don't even know if there's a term for him, bro. It's scary. It's scary what he does. When he had that pick last night, I swear to God, I was watching the games with my pops. I leaped up high. I got up high, and I can't jump worth the shit. Looked at my phone, I go, how high did I jump? Because let's just say the only thing I saw was your ass up in the air. Okay, I jumped out of my seat because that dude is otherworldly. You'll watch, I guarantee you, ESPN and all these other outlets are going to start picking up on Talanoa Hufanega which we've known has been solid since last season, has been getting better and better. Pro Bowl, all pro for sure, the way if he keeps this up. He's changing that defense left and right. Again, I'm sure it reminds me, the great Ronnie Lott said it, it reminds me of the great 49er backfields and guys like Don Griffin, guys like Tim McDonald, Merton Hanks, Ronnie Lott, those wonderful years that we had when we were dominating. He just obviously reminds me of Troy Polamalu, but oh man, it's so good to see us have another weapon back there. Can you imagine what this defense is going to look like when Jimmy Ward comes back? The packages that we're going to have, that we're going to be subbing in and out, it's going to be ultra scary. Nobody wants to fuck with this defense right now. If Stephen A. Smith, he better admit to the fact that this defense is legit, okay? Because he talks a lot of shit, thinks he knows everything. Dude, I want to hear you say something about this. This is the best defense in the league, and I will say this. DeMeco Ryans gets a head coaching job next year. Well deserved. I don't want to lose him by at all, but deserves it. What he's been able to do with that defense in the absence of Robert Saleh, hat off to DeMeco Ryans. I mean, called a gem of a game. Obviously knows how to get those good packages in and out. So good. The best defensive player in football, if you ask me. The monster, the mighty, my boy Nick Bosa. Wrecking ball. No one's stopping him. Nobody can stop. I haven't seen an offensive tackle at all been able to get with him. He's a non-stop engine, a non-stop machine. He's like the T-1000, dude. Unstoppable. They ain't got an answer for him. He's disrupting shit on another level. He's going to have his best season by far this year, and that's saying a lot. Love him to death, man. Kevin Givens played good last night. I was critical of him coming into the season. I wanted to see more of him. I liked what I saw from him. He filled in big in the absence of Javon Kinlaw, in the absence of Arik Armstead. I know the numbers may not show it. 3 total tackles, 1 solo tackle, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defended. I like what I saw out of that kid. Okay, hats off to him. Charles Omenihu had that big sack, had a monster of a sack, bro. That was a monster of a sack. If you guys haven't seen that, go back and check out that highlight. He wrapped up Stafford, crumpled him. I don't know why the Texans ever got rid of him, okay? My hat off to Omenihu. I love when he comes into the game. He's adding a whole dynamic. He's actually picking up for the loss of Arden Key, which we all know was a very hard thing to do because we were really critical of the loss of Arden Key this season. Anybody else? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Hassan Ridgeway had his first sack last night. Listen, Hassan Ridgeway goes under the radar. Okay, good run stuffer, good solid defensive tackle. When he was with the Eagles, we knew coming into the season we needed a guy like that can be the run stuffer and kind of be like a buffer for everybody else. Does it? I like what I see him. I can't say anything bad about this defense, even if I wanted to be objective and critical. I cannot. They have played 4 back-to-back games consecutively that have looked amazing. It's not on the defense. Evan Bosa causes them to appear to hold him with his take. Dude, Pinderhead, thank you, brother. Dude, is it me or are the referees missing every week? 2 weeks ago, he got raped in fucking Denver. Last night, I must have counted 3 or 4 times. Refs missed everything, okay? And he still got 2 sacks. Holding them, grabbing them, sitting on them. You're all, but like, what are you going to do? You're going to hit him with something next? You can't stop him. He does not get the calls that he should be getting. And I know that they're not going to call everything all the time, but come on, dude, this guy's getting abused out there. Dude, the depth on the defense is disgusting. It's disgusting. It's the best in football. And it's early on, and we got injuries. And I can't see this defense. I think this is going to be a freak show of a year for us in terms of holding teams to points and yards. Holy shit. Say it again. Holy shit. Huffenegger got the pick, 52 yards, took off. Thank you. Listen, I know it goes under the radar, but I love Ray as a kick returner and a punt returner. I mean, he had a nice kick return last night. One return for 21 yards. He also averaged 17 yards per return and punt. That's big for us. I know it doesn't always, average Al, but he's a big piece. I love Ray Ray. I love Ray Ray, dude. I guarantee you he's going to be so valuable for us as the season goes on. Watch. I'm telling you, man. This kid is great. Dude, he plays in Bosa gets I can't get over what they allow the offensive tackles to get away with on him. I just can't believe it, dude. I can't believe it. And it's funny. I don't see Joe Buck or Troy Aikman calling that shit out because it seems to me, although I will say, who did Troy Aikman say was one of his favorite players last night on the 49ers? I was in shock when he said that because I respected Troy Aikman as a quarterback. I thought he was a very cerebral quarterback. I thought he played in a great offense behind a great offensive line with probably the best running back of all time, in my humble opinion, in Emmitt Smith, with one of the best wide receivers of all time in Michael Irvin, one of the most underrated best tight ends of all time in Jay Novacek, who never dropped a pass hardly. So, yeah, he does kind of, individually I could see why people would have a problem with him. But I respected Aikman. I liked Aikman as a quarterback. As a commentator, I really don't like him that much. I just think he's a drone. He doesn't, never. Joe Buck, I can't stand. If I was there, I would have put Joe Buck in a headlock and opened his eyes. Are you watching Bosa get tackled and kicked? Because he's a 49er hater. I go back to last year's game against the Rams. I believe it was the season ending. He has a way of not. He does this with the Yankees too. I know you guys may not be on the East Coast, so he's a Yankee hater. Okay, and I'm a Yankee nut. I can't stomach him, dude, the way he calls the game. But I didn't see either one of them calling out or being objective to the fact that Bosa was getting getting all but taped to a friggin' chair. What do you call it? Saw style. Like the movie, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You got to throw the flag sometime. Wait till others return to active roster. Yeah, man. Who looked pretty shitty last night? I don't know who you're referring to with that. But yeah, dude, when we get back to 100%, it's gonna be scary. I don't care what anyone says. You can keep the Eagles right now 4-0. I'm not taking anything away from the Eagles, but don't depend on that to continue. Barry Sanders was infinitely better. No line, lesser team, more productive. All right, listen. I respect your opinion. My thing is just that I think Emmitt Smith goes under the radar because obviously the offensive line he had in front of him and great head coach and the great players around him. But I will say this. Emmitt Smith was the dual package, catching the ball out of the backfield. He had great vision up front. Barry Sanders, by far one of the greatest running backs of all time, probably the most dynamic in terms of moves and whatnot and ability to just make people miss. I mean, they don't make guys like that anymore. I haven't seen running backs like that in so long, but that is a good argument that you bring because I loved Barry Sanders too. I wish he would have played a little longer, and I wish he would have played for better teams because he could have gone down as the best running back pound for pound in terms of yards, touchdowns, and what have you. But nonetheless, they're all in the Hall of Fame. All right, so let's do game balls, okay? Obviously, first, game ball goes to DeMeco Ryans. He called a gem of a game last night. Again, let's look back at the first 4 games of the season, first 3 games previous to this. DeMeco Ryans has had that defense playing on another level. My hat off to him. As I said earlier, he becomes a head coach next year, and if he doesn't, it's absolutely disgusting because he deserves to be a head coach. That guy has done a phenomenal job as a defensive coordinator. It's just, Eric Davis. Thank you, brother. I loved Eric Davis, dude. Every time I think of Eric Davis, all I think about is the interception against the Dallas Cowboys in the 94 NFC Championship game when he took it to the hole, made it 10-0, turned that whole momentum of that game, totally ended right there. Totally agree with you, man. But game ball goes to DeMeco Ryans, number 1, again, okay? He had that team dialed in last night. His defensive plan was perfect. Again, take the half the field away from them. Obviously, Cooper Kupp gets his catches, but he ain't getting shit. Penetrate, shake up Matthew Stafford, who sucks under pressure, and deny that running game that absolutely blows. They couldn't hang. They had nothing to do with us. They wanted nothing to do with us. Hat off to DeMeco Ryans, without a doubt. Let's go to, we'll give out the game balls on defense first. Game ball goes to Nick Bosa, obviously 2 sacks. I give a game ball to Nick Bosa for every game so far this season because he's the best defensive end in football. Listen, other people may argue Garrett in Cleveland, great defensive end. I don't care. You give me Nick Bosa every week. The guy's engine is unstoppable. He looks 10 times more athletic, more muscular, and I would say looks to me that he has more agility now after his injury, which is pretty interesting because usually, well, you do see a lot of guys who come back from injury play at another level when they do, but he looks otherworldly. Ryan will be greatly missed. Yeah, you're right. If we lose him, D'Amico and Saleh. No, listen, come on. Saleh is one of the best. Was a tremendous defensive coordinator. Not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying. And Ryan was under him, so you could understand that he got the best education under him. So the tree never lies a lot of the time. I want to give a game ball out to my boy Talanoa Huffanega. 4th game in a row. He has dominated, okay? I don't think anyone knows what to do with him because he's great at disrupting passes. He's great at disrupting the run. He's a juggernaut. You could use him in the blitz like we saw them do last week when they came up and shut down the run a couple times. I'm telling you, man, guys headed to the Pro Bowl, guys headed to All-Pro for sure. Okay, and I said it before, and I hate to be a repetitive parrot, but when you watch, all these other platforms are going to pick up, and you're going to hear his name. It's Troy Polamalu, 4.9. It's his clone. It's so scary, it's not even funny, man. So he gets a game ball. Let's see who else gets a game ball. Dre Greenlaw gets a game ball last night. What did he have? What did I say he had? How many tackles? I believe he either had 15 or 12. Let me just double check on that. Double check. 12 solo tackles. When Greenlaw, listen, we all remember Greenlaw 2 years ago, how big he came up. 3 years ago, obviously, on that Monday night game against Seattle, that goal line play, when he put Travis Homer, almost knocked him out, his soul out of his body. Dre Greenlaw is a legit linebacker, man. When we need him to stay healthy. He's so valuable. When you think about the depth in linebackers that we have at the position, Warner, Shahir, Greenlaw, we haven't even seen Oren Burks really play that much yet. It's scary, man. Ridiculous. Is looking brighter with this pace on defense and any consistency on offense. We could be fulfilling that quest for 6. Agree with you 100%. 100%. The defense is set. The defense is set in stone. It's not. It's only going to get better. Got to give a game ball to Fred Warner. Again, 9 tackles, 6 solo tackles, but Warner was all over the field last night. Again, Warner is the conductor of that defense, I believe. I used to say, I still feel this way, although he hasn't played this year, that Jimmy Ward was kind of the conductor of that defensive backfield. I feel the same way about Fred Warner with that defense. I mean, dude, he's a juggernaut. He's a juggernaut. He's a great athlete. He's a great specimen. He's all over the field. I can't say more great things about him. Game ball to Samson Ebukam. Goes under the radar a lot of the time, but he's a legit pass threat. I mean, he keeps this up, he could definitely get double-digit sacks, without a doubt. Gonna give a game ball, Tom and Yahoo. Aminu, whatever you would pronounce his name. I like what he brings to the defense. I like his size. I like his speed. Has a tenacity to come off that end. It's something we really need to go along with Bosa on one side, Armstead, of course. I think there's another guy. I think that if he can get in more packages, get more playing, there's no reason why he can't have 8 to 10 sacks. We could be possibly looking at a team or a defensive front. Think about it. Bosa's going to have double-digit sacks. Ebukam is on that way. Yahoo definitely could have double-digit sacks. There's no reason why we can't have 2 and 3 guys with double-digit sacks, or at least 2 and 3 guys with 10 sacks, 8 sacks, 6 sacks. I mean, it's going to add up without a doubt. Their run game comes back later with healing up of the Silverback and Mitchell. Yeah, man, it definitely does. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jeff Wilson Jr., man. I've been saying it. I've been saying it for a couple of years now. Even when we were using him 2-3 years ago when he was goal line gold. Kid runs hard, puts that shoulder down, and gives you a shot. He is a beast. Definitely sparked us, man. He's got agility. He's got some good speed when he breaks out. I love this kid. I think if he's on another team, he's a starting 1,000-yard running back if he's the premier guy. Okay, without a doubt. I don't think that's out of school to say that. Other game balls. Let's see. Going to go to the offensive side right now. Obviously, Jeff Wilson Jr. gets a game ball. Gets a game ball 2 weeks in a row. Like I just was rambling on about all his talent that he has. Again, he always comes up big for us. He's always valuable. Carried the ball 18 times last night. I want them to give him the ball more. I agree with you, dude. I want to see more of Jordan Mason. We're all big on this kid. I want to see more of him. We didn't see Tevin Coleman. We didn't see Marlon Mack. I don't think we're going to see Marlon Mack. I think we'll see more of Tevin Coleman, given the fact that he knows this offense, obviously. But who knows? I don't know why we can't see more of Kyle Juszczyk. That's for sure. Game ball to Deebo Samuel, obviously. I mean, listen. Again, I think players like him come along once in a lifetime. He's just that talented. He can do all these things. For his size, the way he's built, the pop he gives defenders. Oh, man. I love it. Deebo TD, man, how about the pass to Juice? Yeah, dude, I thought of you with the pass to Juice last night. You want to laugh? I figured I'm like, oh, there we go. We're starting something here. But, listen, it was an over 30-yard pass, but I don't know how many things this guy's got to do before he gets thrown to him 4 and 5 times a game. I don't get it. Yeah, man. I thought they were going to feed Juice on the goal line. That's what I figured. Go to Juice. Always. I don't know. Maybe it's me, bro. Maybe it's us, right? Maybe again, I'm thinking there's no reason why we can't, relive the days of Rathman and William Barn on Floyd and Mark Logan, through Juice. But I don't know, man. I figured Shanahan is a run-happy guy, just like his father was. Remember, in Denver, when he lost Terrell Davis, Alundis Gary was next. When Alundis Gary went down, Mike Anderson came, and all three of them had 1,000-yard, seasons in them. So we see it from the halfbacks in terms of, Mitchell, and then we see it in terms of Jeff Wilson Jr. But, give Juszczyk the ball. Let that running backfield be more dynamic. Give the defenses more to worry about than just, you help Woody, baby, 44, best fullback ever. We need that. We need that, man. I don't know what it's going to take, especially when they're not throwing the ball to Kittle. I don't know. Dump the ball to Juice more, it doesn't make any sense. Offensive line, everybody gets a game ball. Offensive line played flawless last night. Flawless. I want to see all these sports, ESPN, all these programs pick up when they break down that game. I want them to give that offensive line their due. They didn't give up a sack last night. Okay? And you're going up against possibly the best defensive tackle or one of the best defensive tackles ever. Wasn't really that much of a factor in that game. Okay? That offensive line stepped in and whipped ass. Jake Brendel has made us forget about Alex Mack. Okay? Yeah, Jennings came out good. I like Jennings. I got no problem with Jennings. I like him. He comes up big when we need him. Remember last year, as the season went on in the playoffs, he came up big with some touchdown catches. Yeah, dude, listen. Kittle doesn't get his due as a total player. When people say the best tight end of all time, obviously the first thing they think of is catches and touchdowns. We can't always look at that because Travis Kelce is not half the blocker that George Kittle is. So I'm going to take Kittle every time. We haven't even seen Kittle get started yet. It's still early. 15 games left to play. I'm sorry, 15 games. What the hell am I talking about? Was it 12 games yet to play? So, or 13, whatever. So I'm sure he's going to get started, obviously, but he's so valuable as a blocker, that it's imperative, especially with the loss to Trent Williams, that he's back there doing that. I figured that with Kittle's blocking ability, it would free up Juice more to catch the ball out of the backfield, but that's just not happening. But again, Colton McKivitz, one guy is Spencer Burford. You got to give your hat off to him. I mean, he looks like he's been in the league for 4 years, man. Daniel Brunskill is a very underrated guy. McGlinchey played last night, held steady. The whole offensive line gets a game ball from me. They played great. I don't. If that can hold like that, well, we don't have Trent Williams, or we can hold somewhat like that, we're in good shape, man. Yeah, man, they do. Oh, dude, funny you say that. Thank you very much for that. Game ball to Brandon Ayuk. I'm not even talking about the stats yet. I'm talking about the monster block he had on Deebo's Gallup. And the fact that he got in Jalen Ramsey's ass. Loved it. I loved it when he wouldn't let go of his face mask. Good. That's what we need. Tenacity. We need that. Fucking don't kowtow to these guys, man. I love it. I love it. It reminds me, back in the day when the game was obviously different and you had that really tenacious relationship between competitive wide receivers and corners. It reminds me of the great Jerry Rice and the great Deion Sanders when Deion, I think when him and Jerry had that slugfest. But that's what we need. That's what you got to do, man. Ayuk has been underused and is underrated. But he comes up big, man. It's a great 1-2 combination. I love the way he blocks. The blocking on that Deebo touchdown run from everybody was lights out. Okay, the tackling was absolute dog shit. Go back and watch that video. That missed tackle, dog shit. Okay, end zone block was phenomenal. Again, these are all the things that a lot of people overlook. A lot of these experts don't even know that. They overlook this. That's what makes this such a good team is the interior blocking, within that thin amount of yardage, what goes on there. From the wide receivers, from even Ross Dwelly and Charlie Warner, man, I mean, they get after it. The whole team blocks well. So that's what makes them so much better of an offense, which, of course, allows Jimmy G the ability to stand tight, make the decisions he needs to make. I will say this. I love the fact that Jimmy G scrambled last night, slid head first. Well, I would have liked if he would have slid feet first. I don't want him to get hurt. But I like that about him. There are some people that think he's just pretty innocent. No, he's not like that, okay? He had a terrible game last week. He had a shit game last week. He had a much better game this week. And I think you're going to see that he's going to get better and better. He's going to have these games which we need him to have. 2 touchdowns a game, 2 touchdowns a game, 1 touchdown a game. Everything can come together, for him. When he's operating correctly and he's given the time to do what he needs to do, it just makes things so much better for him. So I really liked what I saw him. I loved the fact that he scrambled. I thought Shanahan called a pretty good game for the most part. There was a couple of plays I questioned. I didn't like some of the lateral plays. I thought that was just pure dog shit and wasting time. I would have liked to seen him open up the offense a little more last night, but in retrospect, I can't complain at all. I just hope that, again, and I'm going to go on record. And Kay Grissar, you, I know you've said it. A lot of other people have said it. We're all going on record. All I can hope is that Juice is utilized more as a receiver out of the backfield, and Wilson is utilized more out of the backfield. And obviously, we're starting to get the ball to Kittle. He gets going. But I thought Shanahan called a good game. I like the combinations between run and pass. And again, man, this was a huge win for us. I mean, monster win. It may not look like it because it's so early in the season, but 2 division wins in a tight, tough division. I don't care what anyone says. This is the best division in football. Okay, you can have your AFC East, which is nothing to shy away from. You can have your NFC East again, despite the Washington Commanders or the Washington Generals. I always forget their friggin' name, dude. Obviously the Cowboys and the Giants and the Eagles, but you can't even go by that because we all know the Giants aren't going to last the season with that. Daniel Jones blows. And even the same thing, Eagles are going to come back to earth. And the same is going to be said for the Cowboys because we're better than the Cowboys by far. NFC West, is the best division in football pound for pound. So that's why this win was really imperative to even things out and to give us another divisional win. We need play action from out of the backfield. Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely need to get him involved when it comes to play action more because I think a lot of the defenses now are starting to key up on him. I feel. I think that it's. I guess it's just nature of the beast that obviously these defensive coaches and defenses in general just review game film and just kind of know how things are gonna go, especially when you kind of know an offense and know a coach. So we can only expect that. But I agree with you. I would like to see him be used. I want to see more play action in general. I really do. I think Jimmy G is so much better when he has the play action. Now, he may not have the footwork like a Trey Lance or a guy like Kyler Murray or the scrambling ability, but I think that when given time, the with our offense, the play action throws off a lot of defenses because we have so many different weapons that we can throw at them in terms of Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. If we would throw the ball to a running back, it would be nice. It just makes things so much better. And we've seen this offensive line really take the step to the second degree and get out front and do really well off the play action and block ahead of them, which is really good. I mean, yeah, I agree with you, man. 100%. We again, this offensive line is so I had seen the top offensive lines rated. We weren't even there. After last night, we better be in the top 3. Especially going through the season that we've had so far. The loss of Mack, the loss of Trent Williams, we better be in that top 3. Because we're not getting the respect that we do. But this happens to us every season. We know this with these so-called experts. We never get the respect we deserve. Until we start winning games and shutting people down in their house and make it far into the postseason. And that's the way it's always been for us, man. The true football mind, the true football fan, the people really know, who really know about this team, about this offensive line, about this defense, about these players. Other people don't know jack shit, which is what makes our fan base so wonderful and unique, is because we know we're part of something special and we know that there's something special there on that field. I mean, that's why, it sucks for us when we lose games the way we've lost games earlier this season because we know those are games that we win. But it's confusing how they only squeeze the juice box once every 2 months. I know, dude. It's crazy. I want to see that playbook. I just want to get Shanny and go yo, I got to ask you 2 questions. A, when are we going to throw the ball juice more? And 2, when are we going to throw the ball to juice more, man? I don't know. I wish I could be I wish I could be a journalist right in front of those press conferences. If anyone has seen the full press conference, I have not. Have they mentioned anything about throwing the ball to juice more or get him involved more? Because if they are, please shoot me the video or shoot me the info. I'd love to see it. But look, a great win. Matthew Stafford is definitely sore this morning. We all know that. We all know that the Rams are absolute trash and overrated. I don't care what anyone says. Been saying it since last year. I think a lot of you would agree. Big win going into the week. Next up, obviously, is the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Winnable game. I will say that. Carolina, obviously, is just the mediocre team. I mean, Matt Rule can't find himself a quarterback to save his life. They, get Sam Darnell, who's a bust. Then they trade for a Baker Mayfield. Look, the way Baker Mayfield was built up, he's a bust. Is he horrible? No. Is he mediocre? Yes. Okay. Are they a good team? Not really. Okay. Everything revolves around Christian McCaffrey, who we are starting to see break down left and right. And even when he does all that he can do, they're not really that good on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, they're not bad. They have a lot of good players. Jeremy Chin, they got Burns. They're not bad whatsoever. But this is a winnable game for us. But I will say this could be a trap game too. This can be, I don't want to say a Denver Bronco-like game or a Chicago Bear-like game, but it could be a trap game. We have to dominate early on and throughout. Can't let the foot off the gas like we've seen ourselves do in the past. Let's see. Can we break the team sack record this season? I think so. The way we're going right now, with Bosa alone, with Ebukam, there's no reason why it can't be broken. Again, I think we could be possibly looking at at least two guys with double-digit sacks. Imagine if and when Olmstead gets going. He's playing with that plantar fasciitis, which is, I just butchered that word, which is definitely, definitely something that can definitely limit a player. So I hope that gets cleared up somehow. But there's no reason why we can't, throw in Kerry Hyder Jr., throw in Charles Omenihu. Why not? Or at least get like 5 or 4 sacks scattered throughout the defense per certain guys, and have Bosa be the guy who really dominates. Short week with travel. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a trap game. Definitely. I really want to see us win a game and score 34 points against a Carolina-like team. I think it's imperative that we really start to offensively dominate and open up the offense more. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to do so against a shitty Carolina team who's coming off a loss to the Cardinals, a game in which they were in, the defense kept them in for a little bit, but then didn't happen. So, it's a winnable game. It is a short week, but sometimes it's a good thing. I'm happy it's not a Thursday night game, thank God. Obviously, that wouldn't happen on Monday and a Thursday night game, but Thursday night games I'm skeptical about. But it's a short game. We're away, so gotta win. Gotta get that 3-2, because let's face it, man. The Cardinals in Seattle, we're better than both teams, but the Cardinals aren't at full strength. They're without Hopkins. They're without Rondell Moore. AJ Green is banged up, so we really haven't seen them be at full strength, but I think they're depleted too. And I got to give my hat off to the Seahawks. Anyone who thought that they were going to be some type of welcome mat this year, well, they don't know their shit too well. It wasn't a rebuild year. Pete Carroll, there's a reason why Geno Smith is starting, and it's not Drew Lock. Geno Smith looks the best I've ever seen him look so far. Now, I think we're a better team than them by far, but I wouldn't sleep on them, not to be trouble. We're starting to blitz from the nickel. Yeah, exactly, dude. That's huge, man. We didn't see a lot of that under Saleh, but we didn't have to blitz back then. But I like the blitz. I like what I'm seeing. I like all these packages. I like the ability of this defense to do many things. I think the more things that we can do, the better. It's only going to make us 10 times more of a threat. And again, all these guys are playing lights out. And like you said, only imagine when we're back to full strength. Ain't no one going to know what to do with us, man. I mean, it's 4 weeks in and we're not giving up jack shit. So just got to keep riding this wave. Cannot sleep on this week. Very important game this week. We need to put our foot on the throat of the Panthers. I want to see 34-13, 37-13, 30-13. I want to see a blowout. I got to see it. I need to see big numbers from Jimmy G. I need to see big numbers in terms of sack. There's no reason why we shouldn't. So we really need to get a W again this week, and it's got to be something very diabolic, man. It's the only word I could use. I want to blow this team off the face of the earth, because we can't have ourselves hanging around against a Carolina team. We've seen that 2 weeks, once in Denver, once in Chicago, and we know how that ends. And we know that in this division, every win is going to mean something, because it looks like it might just be a tight division. So we'll hope and see. But listen, people, great win last night for the Niners. The best fan base in all of sports, man. I mean, it's the most unique, in-depth fan base I think there is. I wish I was at the game last night. Yeah, I want more turnovers for the defense too. I really do. In terms of interceptions, yeah, I want turnovers. And I mean, I like what I'm seeing from the balls being stripped and shit like that. But I want more turnovers. I want to see Ward get more turnovers. Hopefully we get when Jimmy Ward comes back. We will help force more turnovers. There's no reason why. Look, we're shutting receivers down, man. Look at the first 4 weeks. Like we said, every time we shut down a running game, for the most part, we win. But now we're shutting down receivers. I mean, Kupp didn't get shit after the catch last night, as did Hybe. Nothing. So we got to keep that up. And this week, again, you're playing against some good wide receivers. got to shut them down as well. So I don't want to sleep on that. But it was just yeah, damn right, bro. It's just it's just such a phenomenal win on all ends, and it was such a great way to see the win, 24-9. No other way than to blow out the cotton candy Rams. Remember that term because I gave it to them. Cotton candy. That's what they are. They're overrated. They were overrated last season. So yeah, best secondary in a long time is 100% correct. I agree with you, man. But thank you for checking out the live feed. Thank you for listening. Please hit me up. Always feel free to hit me up on Instagram. You know, inbox me questions, comments, conversation, anything and everything. Hopefully, I'll be coming back at you again this week with some content. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't on YouTube. I really appreciate you guys always checking out the page, checking out the podcast, checking out the live feed. So, W baby. There he is. Sourdough, baby. You know how we do things. Peace. Niner Nuts out.